Nothing in sports hits quite like the knockout.
Yeah, if that Walsh-Smith fight, that'd be very nice, wouldn't it? Oh, wow, what about that?
There are so many seared in my memory, and in a way, the feeling that anything can happen is one of the most addictive aspects of boxing and combat sports in general. That visceral, indescribable feeling when you know the end is near in a massive fight. It's like a jolt of electricity. Even better when someone hits the deck out of nowhere in a wild exchange.
Motion, pounding away. Morrison may be going. Morrison is gone.
So even though we mainly focus on the nuts and bolts of how athletes set up the finish, let's look at some of my favorite knockout artists of all time. On the surface, that's an easy list to make, but here's the problem. Boxing has a storied history of fighters who can turn the lights off with a single glove. And I'm a massive fan of just about all of them. So, if there's anyone that I didn't include, please let me know in the comments below. And here's to some of the greatest hitters to ever grace the canvas. The Modern Martial Artist is switching to YouTube memberships, putting all of our exclusive perks in one place for our most important sponsor, you. We need your support to continue creating content about the sports we love, and that's why we're excited to offer even more through YouTube memberships. The team is bringing you early video access and 2 exclusives each month. So, if you like what we do and want to see more, become a channel member today. I couldn't make a video about stopping power without including the former 2-time heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist, Big George Foreman. With an 89% KO rate, the late heavyweight titan left a distinct mark on 2 separate eras, leaving a path of unconsciousness in his wake.
He's not here to point. Rocky supports him. And he inflicts some punishment here. Some hip shots he's getting through.
While he's probably most known for his showdown with Ali, or the grill that shares his name, Foreman was an incredible talent in his own right, using nuanced defenses to stay safe and set up thunderous offense deep into his 40s. His destructions of Joe Frazier twice, Ken Norton, and Michael Moorer were something to behold, but there's a whole roster of quick dispatches that made him a feared competitor across 3 decades. And even though he didn't score a knockout or even win, I highly recommend checking out his battle with Evander Holyfield if you've never seen it before. Watching footage of Foreman's crossguard got me thinking about the man he likely picked it up from. Archie Moore. Often regarded as the greatest light heavyweight of all time, the 1990 Hall of Fame inductee holds the record for longest championship reign and the most knockouts in professional boxing at 132 or 145, depending on who you ask. Much more than just a big punch, Moore was a craftsman of the highest order. The crossguard was his staple defense, while his ferocious hooks and uppercuts put the competition in serious danger. He also had a tremendously powerful straight, and his jab is something to behold to this day. While some fighters earn the knockout through pure stopping power and athleticism, Moore put competitors down with weapons sharpened by the sweet science. His career spanned 4 decades, and he stands out as one of the few boxers to compete in the eras of Ali, Marciano, and the next man on our list, Joe Louis. The Bronze Bomber has some of my favorite highlight reel KOs ever, and it isn't due to the violence of it, it's the efficiency. When you watch the tapes, he just looks so calm in there, and then boom, his man goes down. While he could find the mark with any punch, his cross was, for a time, the best known sleeping medicine in the world. And with 52 KOs out of 66 wins, it was fast acting and super effective. Across the longest title reign in the sport's history, the Alabama native locked horns with every meaningful heavyweight of his era. So much so that he eventually moved on to less meaningful opposition, playfully dubbed the Bum of the Month Club. Even though most were still ranked in the top 10. But that wasn't due to picky matchmaking. Lewis cleared out his division, something unheard of in today's boxing landscape. From his historic duology with Max Schmeling to his knockouts of Braddock, Kahn, and Bear, we're lucky he fought in an era where media preservation was already happening. Plus, if you're looking for something to listen to, you can check out some old radio broadcasts of his fights. You'll just have to keep your ears open for the knockout blows. Moving from an American icon to a Thai one, our next fighter is often regarded as the greatest Thai-born boxer of all time, Khaosai Galaxy. The Bangkok native's power was out of this world, especially when you consider he competed at only 115 pounds. The former super flyweight kingpin accrued an impressive 47-1 record over his 11-year campaign, with 41 of those wins coming by knockout. And even if he didn't get the finish, he was equal parts Terminator and smooth operator. He lost early in his career, and then never lost again, retiring with the WBA super flyweight title after 16 stoppages in 19 defenses. While the southpaw could score knockouts by cracking jaws, Khaosai's most dangerous strikes went to the body. I mean, when your nickname translates to the left that pierces intestines, you have one crazy body shot. A full style breakdown on Khaosai Galaxy would be pretty fun, so let us know if you'd like to see more of possibly the finest talent the Land of Smiles has ever produced. For our next fighter, we travel from Thailand to sunny Puerto Rico in search of a bazooka. For some fighters, their nickname feels sorta tacked on. But for Wilfredo Gómez, bazooka feels completely accurate. Widely hailed as perhaps Puerto Rico's greatest fighter, Gómez captured 3 world titles and earned 42 stoppages in 44 wins, an absurd 95% knockout rate. He shares the 3rd longest KO streak with Deontay Wilder, racking up 32 consecutive stoppages after a draw in his pro debut. Yet, despite those crazy numbers, Gómez was no frontrunner. Every win was earned, and he never shied away from danger. The Hall of Famer engaged in unforgettable wars with Lockridge, Zarate, and the legendary Salvador Sanchez. On top of that, he defended his WBC Super Bantamweight crown with 17 straight knockouts, a record that still stands today regardless of weight class. His excellent jab and deep positional understanding paved the way for a career full of early nights. Speaking of early nights, let's move back to the heavyweight division for a man who Muhammad Ali said was the strongest he ever fought, the Black Destroyer, Earnie Shavers. This menacing heavyweight could break through an opponent's guard like a jackhammer, and if he touched their chin, it hit like dynamite. Though he never wore a world title, he fought the who's who of his era, lobbing leather with the names like Ali, Holmes, Norton, and Quarry. Even though he didn't start boxing until 22, he made up for it with quick stoppages. Across 76 wins, he scored 70 knockouts, and 53 of those were within 3 rounds. He threw everything into almost every strike, especially in close. He had a way of striking through the target, so that when he missed, it was simply a wind-up for something much, much worse. He was far from a perfect fighter, but win or lose, his fights are consistently fun to watch, due to his marauding style. Next up, hailing from the US Virgin Islands, is the Hawk, Julian Jackson. The 3-time multi-weight former world champion boasts an impressive 89% KO rate, and the type of stopping power that left opponents wondering where they were and what hit them. Seriously, Jackson didn't even need to land clean. A grazing shot could send the opposition stumbling, and the perfect blow could turn their head like an owl before they planked on the canvas. But this wasn't just plowing forward and hoping to find something clean. Jackson was a skillful boxer with the footwork and finesse to position himself for the KO blow. And given that his style relied on forcing action to find openings, he was a crowd pleaser, especially when he was up against a fellow gunslinger. And that brings us to the last on my list. The man who took Jackson's middleweight title, the G-Man, Gerald McClellan. This Detroit boxer was one of the most feared middleweights of the 1990s thanks to his incredibly heavy hands and championship-level skill set. The G-Man halted the action in 29 of his 31 professional wins, with 20 coming in the very first round and only 1 coming after round 3. He loved scoring knockouts. The former unified middleweight champ boasted power in both hands, and the type of connecting force that seemed to freeze the competition in place before they swayed to the deck. His series of wins over fellow knockout artist Julian Jackson are probably my favorites of his, especially the first one. As accomplished as he was, I wish we had gotten to see how much further he would have gone following his bout with Nigel Benn. In a competitive fight where McClellan actually knocked Benn through the ropes, he sustained injuries that left him severely brain damaged. While I felt conflicted about including him on the list due to his life-altering exit from the sport, I think it's a reminder of what's really at stake within the four posts, and I'd rather honor his skills and body of work than sweep the sport's potential consequences under the rug. If you'd like to see some really cool footage, check out the G-Man sparring with James Toney at Kronk Gym. And props to my fellow TMMA writer Aaron for sending that my way. And those are 8 of my favorite power punchers in boxing. Of course, there's a ton of guys I didn't get to in this one. So what are your favorite power punchers? Anyone I missed? Anyone you wish we would go over? Let us know in the comments below. And for the Modern Martial Artist, this has been Coby McKinley, wishing you happy training.